Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. I'm going to do a divine being check-in. So whether you identify as a divine masculine or a divine feminine, this reading's for you. I just want to mention, as I kind of tend to on any video that has to do with divine or twin flame, I really feel like this journey is really about self. And so I just want to sort of put that at the beginning of every video, that I really think that twin flame journey is just a glorified way of saying the one, a soulmate, twin flame. The concept is just finding that person that, is your other half, is going to be there with you for life. And when it doesn't work out, we put another label on it, and then we call that person a failure or false or ourselves, one or both. And the problem with that is, as human beings, we're conditioned already to certain things. For example, if I walk you into your workplace on the first day and I introduce you to Bob, he's the boss. Automatically, that's not Bob anymore, that's your boss. So you are going to behave a certain way with him. You're going to carry yourself in a certain way. Even if he's the most annoying person in the world, there's going to be, already walking into the situation, a tolerance level that Bob from the warehouse wouldn't get. Do you know what I mean? So I think that finding out who you really are is a journey in itself, because we're constantly changing and growing, and I don't think we really sit down and really get to know ourselves. And so anyways, without babbling on, my opinion, my feel of the twin flame journey is actually that not outside of yourself in any way, not that outside of yourself. It's not outside of yourself in any way. It's not going to be in another person. I truly believe it is the journey within yourself. And so I think that sort of loving yourself, the good, the bad, the ugly, admitting to, it's not even about admitting to anybody else, although that's a great step, but forget anybody else, admitting to yourself, like, yo, I fucked up, or yo, I could do this better next time, or you know what, I've come a long way from where I was, or I could have handled that situation better. Being able to go back and apologize when you've made a mistake, realizing that, that you made a mistake. Any small adjustment that you can make to yourself might seem small on paper, but if you're going through those things, you know how huge that is. You know how hard it is to bite your tongue when you want to say something, and that's growth in itself. So although we find labels useful and helpful, and I totally get that. Obviously, although I'd love to campaign for it, labels aren't going to go out the window anytime soon. But if you're tuning into this video, I just encourage you to, as much as you can, forget about labels, because at the end of the day, the only label that you need is this feeling good to me, or is this feeling bad? Not every day is going to be, rainbows shooting out your hoo-ha, but there's, when you've been, when you wake up every day, when you're in a situation. Everyone has bad days, even bad times, but if you still have a drive to keep going, then it doesn't matter what other people say, because at the end of the day, if you feel like you're going to keep going, you're going to keep going. So even if, Tom, Dick, and Harry tell you not to, because you feel still in you, I've got another go in me, then that's your other go. As soon as you feel that you don't have that in you anymore, as soon as and I'm not talking about you leave and come back and you leave and come back and that's a whole other topic. I'm talking about the second it starts to, you get that this isn't right anymore. Now, depending on the situation, obviously, again, I say it all the time, the only thing you can control in that situation would be then yourself. So what can I do to improve the situation? Am I communicating properly? You kind of go down that road. The more in tune you are with all sides of yourself, the more capable you're going to be for every single decision, situation, anything that pops up in your life. And I think that that's sort of what a twin flame, that true unconditional love is really for yourself. Because when you're loving yourself and flaws and all, when you're able to stand up and say, I am good enough, like I deserve to be loved, I deserve to, you know, and also I'm humble enough to say, yeah, I fucked up, I was wrong, I'm growing, I'm changing. The thing is that none of us are given you know, a guide when we get here, and if so, we tune them out so much that we're not listening to them. But you know what I mean? I mean like an actual like guidebook in 3D here. But anyways, let's get on to this. So we are going to do a divine being check-in. So right now we're just going to ask for what is the current energy of our divine beings, just as a whole. So we have eat crow, be humble, listen, you're wrong or not exactly right. And then you have backstabbing, gossip, liars, small town minds, jellied bitches. So that's an interesting combination to get. So because it comes out with eat crow, maybe you're thinking that there's some gossip going around, and it could possibly not be true, or maybe not exactly in the way that you see it. I'm getting a few scenarios in my mind. You might, you know, you might be blaming somebody that in fact isn't to blame at all. So you are right about, you know, somebody maybe lying or gossiping, but not in the way that you perhaps perceive it to be. That's a odd energy to start out with. Let's see what else we got. So we have self-reflection. So that's so weird because I swear I just said that. Take a look at yourself. How can you change a situation? Love and light. I swear I just said that. I wish I had a better memory than the goldfish one that I have been bestowed. I'm like the dumbest smart person, I swear. So growth, self-reflection. Take a look at yourself. How can you change? Eat crow. You're wrong or not exactly right. Listen. And backstabbing, small town minds, liars, gossiping. So maybe you're not listening to a situation, like really listening. Maybe you've already got your mind made up about a certain situation that you're not exactly right on. So in this case, if that rings true to you in any scenario, the thing about a tarot reading is it's only as accurate as you're willing to be in it. So when I say, you know, if there's a situation going on where there might be gossiping or backstabbing or someone lying to you, whatever situation just came into your mind, that's your situation. Now, when I say you might not be exactly right about it, something came into your mind then, that's your situation. And then when I say maybe it's time to do some self-reflection. So how can you change a situation, you know, love and light, instead of, you know, maybe anger and, I don't know, yeah, maybe communication right now I'm also getting to. And also I really do feel like perhaps you have the right information. There's something about the information that you have about a situation that is not correct. You think it is though. And so that's why Spirit's asking you to do some self-reflection. Be creative. So it says colors, bright, shine, art, music, write, tarot, paint. So, and again, self-reflection. So if you're not somebody that wants to sit down and go, okay, well, on, I did this. Okay, that's fine. So is there another way that you can sort of express yourself? Some people find, you know, writing to be good. Music is a saving grace for me personally. There's art, tarot cards, even stuff like this. So if your purpose of coming on to YouTube or anything that you go on to, you know, watch any kind of divination, I think that if your goal going into it is what can I, like, how can I make my situation better, then you're automatically sort of a licensed gun owner. Let's say that, because a weapon is only as dangerous as the person holding it. And so if you give me a gun and I point it at you and I am shooting off just negative, yeah, let's look into this bitch, where's she going? Well, you know what? I've been there, so I'm not discounting those feelings, and not everybody is, you know, maybe as efficient, effective at working through those feelings, but everybody can walk away from a situation. Everybody can decide that I'm not giving you any more of my energy. So I think that in whatever way you can start sort of self-reflecting. And even if it is just walking away from a situation, voicing your opinion, you know, be creative in the way that you sort of, in the way that you kind of go about it. But I think definitely, there's definitely a little air of, I don't know, negative energy sort of. Yeah, so you have here eat right, melon, citrus, soy, happy, crystals. Yeah, so maybe some cleansing, and maybe if it's not a current situation and it's something that you're kind of coming out of, I think that self-care as well as self-reflection is definitely something that we all need. And so make sure that you are eating right, you know, make sure that you are cleansing yourself in however you see. I mean, we all, there's so many gimmicks. Get crystals and you know, fire, blah blah blah. And you know what? Energy is free, and you don't need any special gadget to get it out. And I'm not discounting crystals or any other, you know, any other tool that anybody would use, but it's really not as complicated as everybody's making it to be. And maybe we would be sort of inviting more people into spirituality as a whole if it didn't start becoming like religion and become gimmicky, like a Bible, a church. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say that religion is a gimmick by any means. Excuse me for saying that. What I mean is, you know, religion is based, a lot of religion is based on, you know, consequences, the devil, going to church, you know, providing for the church as well, and being part of that, and the Bible and commandments and rules and consequences for those rules. And that is sort of a very summed up version of what I think religion is, in all honesty. It's my opinion, and you're allowed to have yours, and I'd love to hear it. Spirituality for me has always been sort of open, because the concept of it is as unique as you are. And so when it starts to become sort of that same rule-based, you know, if you're not a yogi, or if you don't meditate, or if you don't, you know, have crystals, or if you don't think you're psychic, or and I also hate when people say, and I think I've also said it before, just to be fair, that everybody is here and we're all gifted. And I think that, again, especially in 2020, we're sort of conditioned to go, okay, I'm sorry, it's just my opinion, just like I did. And it's because we don't want anyone to think anything. Well, God, can you imagine if my opinion differed from yours? I mean, but even more than that, can you imagine if we all just thought the same way? How boring life would be. And so I don't think that we're all created equally in the sense of, you know, maybe you came from planet Blue and your soul is here for, you know, your mission, and I came from, you know, whatever, planet Z, and I'm here for a different mission. And what you bring to the table and what I bring to the table, you know, it's like a doctor and a lifeguard. They both save lives, but you do it in your way and I do it in my way. And I wouldn't say that a doctor has the same skills and a lifeguard has the same skills as a doctor. And I also wouldn't say that one was more valuable than the other, because if a doctor can't swim, he's going to be absolutely, do you know what I mean? Without like sort of breaking it down more than that. Okay, I think I'm gonna pull, I mean, because we said music, why don't we pull a couple songs that, why don't we say, is there a song that would sort of, I guess, sum up something that you'd want us to know right now, moving forward, in regards to this situation? So Rihanna, Stay, Cycles, Holding On, Confusion, Feeling Alone, Not Much of a Life You're Living, Round and Round We Go, Not Really Seeing How, oh sorry, Not Really Sure How to Feel About It, Something in the Way You Move, Can't Live Without You. So let's see, I'm going to pull another one, and I'm just lining the cards up here so I can kind of get a good. So with the stay is really about somebody leaving. It definitely is sort of cycles and not being sure why you're sort of drawn to somebody, but knowing that if they left, you just couldn't live without them. And I feel like if there's anybody in your life like that, and honestly, it doesn't matter who, because look, I'm in a situation where, not even me personally, but yeah, okay, whatever, me personally, I'm in a situation where I care about somebody so much. I just want them to be happy. And even though that's easier said than done, of course I have feelings, and intense ones at that, and I feel like emotions are not embraced as they should be. You know, if you yell, if you cry, if you have a freak out, if you, all of these things. But to not do those things, in my opinion, is even more detrimental to your actual soul. And you are a soul with a body, not a body with a soul. Because at the end of the day, your body stays here, and we can all clearly agree on the fact that something leaves your body. And so if we're going to label that a soul, then it's a soul, and you are a soul. And if you're going to leave with your beliefs, if you're going to leave with the things that you learned, then maybe it is time to really sit back and really be humble and self-reflect and know that you're not always right in every situation. And maybe that's the eating crow, really listen to what someone's saying to you. It's one of those things where you can't tell somebody that you didn't hurt them, or you can't tell somebody how to feel. And so even if you don't agree with it, if you care about the other person, you have to at least be humble enough to hear them, and I believe with proper communication, you can really genuinely solve anything. And even if that is an agree to disagree, I don't think that anything ever needs to get to, to the point where it is just confusion and feeling like, I don't know. I just got so much of my that like sums me up, like. So then we got Pink, Stop Falling. So same concept. So hard life, crazy life, understand my side, no trust, fling, dating, falling in love, love is not your friend, closed off, I can't, what? I ain't looking for what love brings. So again, those cycles. And so if you find yourself in a cycle of, how do I put this? I want to say this in the most effective way possible. You can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. And if you are going to continue to do the same thing, the results will not be the same every time. And if you're hurting people along that, including yourself, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And it's kind of the three fates, right? What happens once will happen twice. What happens twice will happen one more time. And what's happened 3 times is now complete. And if I feel the universe allows opportunities, and some more than others, to correct these things. If you're given the opportunity to correct something and you choose not to do it, it's your choice, 100%. But there are consequences for every choice, good or bad. In the same way that if you chose to correct it, you would have, the consequences of that action. If you're living a lifestyle that is hurting people, I don't care if you've gotten away with it for, 60 years of your life. I promise you, you can't escape life. And even the best of us get caught up. And in whatever way that might be, I guess that's for individual thought. I'm trying to say this in like the nice, if you're going to be a dick and if you're going to hurt people, then that stuff's going to come back to you. And when it comes back to you, if you're not going to stop, self-reflect, be in your feelings, the more you're in your feelings, you're aware of what's going on. I'm sorry if I'm sounding like, ooh, but I'm trying to say this in the best, most effective way possible. When you are aware of what's going on with you right now, I'm hurt. Why am I hurt? because I expected this and I got this. Do you know what I mean? Like if you can get to the point, because it doesn't happen right away, but if you can start to get to the point that you can just know you and know that you know what's going on. So my feeling, you know, I'm crying because I'm upset, but really that's not what I'm mad at. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so if life isn't going the way that you want it to go, or you find the same pattern, and patterns happen not just in your own personal life, but look at your family's life. You would be unbelievably just like shocked at how cycles just repeat themselves. And somebody has to step up and stop that. And so if you're the person in your family that is aware, if you can see the cycle, like, hey, you know what? My dad left when I was a kid and now, oh my goodness, and now this is happening to me. Or do you know what I mean? My mom had a drinking problem and now I have a drinking problem. Or, you know, my mom stayed with my dad even though she really wanted to leave. And, you know, just anything that you, and I know those are sort of specific things, but those are those big things that we don't want to confront, you know? Do you know how sad it is that there are so many people aware, for example, that so-and-so has, you know, an issue or a problem, but we don't say anything. And it's not because we care about what happens to them, clearly, because I think that you would help if you cared. You're more scared of the wrath. And I think that that happens a lot in life. So without getting like so off topic again, I'm just going to say that now might be a time for really honest self-reflection. And in that self-reflection, you know, the reason that I always suggest writing things down is because I think that it becomes easier. Talking to somebody is great too. And now I'm not saying that I'm against talking to somebody. I think it's great to talk. I think that you should choose who you open up to. And I think that we don't always have a choice. However, sometimes communication is so crucial in a situation that if you take that moment and you take it from the situation and you give it to somebody else in lieu of, I need advice, this is what's going on, these are my feelings, you just did so much more damage to that situation. And although you're not doing it viciously, it's not to, you know, it's not to make things worse. In fact, it's probably to try to make things better. It's like pulling the knife out of the wound. Do you know what I mean? You just left somebody gushing with blood and you tried to do the right thing, but really you just have to stay there for a moment. And it doesn't necessarily mean in the moment, go for a walk, get air, but talking to somebody else or sharing what you should be sharing in that situation. So if I'm mad at my dad and instead of talking to my dad, you know, we yell at each other, I leave, I go and phone my friend and I'm, oh, he's just, you know, what I don't like is da 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 da. What should I do? That feeling, that emotion, that explanation, that should have been given to my dad at a time that he was able to hear it. Now, that seems unfair when you in a moment need to speak to somebody, but just consider what I'm saying. Those raw feelings, those thoughts, that's your answer. That's, you know, it's very rare that you're in a heated argument with somebody that you don't in some way care about, have a situation with. And I'm not talking about those little like outside things. I'm talking deep ones, like this kind of stuff, the cycles, the falling for somebody and you know. So what's sticking out to me right now is the fling and the dating and the cycles and then the no trust. If you don't want to be on the Ferris wheel, then you need to get off. If you're going to keep going around, that's all that's going to happen. Sorry, I'm getting so, okay, so there's so many things that I want to So there's lots of different scenarios. One scenario, if you're one of those people that sort of serial dates, but you're not happy with that, and yet you continue to do that, nothing's going to change for you. And you can absolutely live your life like that. But if you're hurting people while you're sort of going about that in that cycle, that's not going to last for very long. Not only that, but I think those are the intentional things that we do. Those things that's karma in life. Do you know what I mean? It's not the unintentional, I am following my heart. And so that's another thing. To stop a cycle, sometimes you do have to be humble, and you do have to voice that to somebody. And sometimes telling somebody something that you already know before, you don't even have to guess it, this is going to be something that's going to kill this person. Or do you know what I mean? Like when you already are aware of the fact that this person needs to know this, but I know that it's so big, I just don't want to hurt. I don't want to hurt them, so I'm going to go on. That's bullshit, because you don't care about the person at all, because when they find out, everything always comes out. When they find out, that is, first of all, so much more crushing than if you had the guts to go and say it face to face. It doesn't hurt any less when it gets said face to face, and you also have to be in that moment. You have to watch the effects, and nobody, I think, I really genuinely don't believe most people set out to hurt anybody. And even the players and the jerks and the bitches and the this and the that, I think that if it was easier to, to have that conversation, it would be had. But nothing, nobody said that anything was going to be easy. And I think that those big changes in life, they take some effort. So instead of being closed off to situations, maybe it's time you sit and be humble, listen, don't just talk, but listen. And also know that, we don't get guidebooks to this life. And in the years that we're here, we all go through so many different things, and it's not for us to judge, especially ourselves, on what the effects of life have been. And I think that a lot of people, and I'm going to say for this, especially sort of that masculine energy, a lot of people don't look back and say, yeah, you know what? I did have a shitty childhood. And some people use it as their excuse to be shitty. You know what? Because I went through this now. You don't understand. I don't know how to love. But that's not true, because if you can voice that, if you can say, I don't know how to love, what do you mean you don't know how to love? So then that means you have a concept of what love really is, because you're not doing it. So already that doesn't make sense. And I think it's calling people out on those things. Don't be a coward. Don't overlook, other people for yourself, because that just comes back to bite you in the ass. Yeah, see, and again, it's the hookups. So we got Khaled, location, hookups, meetups, messages, communication. And so that was some of the stuff that was going through my head when I said that, because it feels like, look, I've been in a situation where you teach people how to treat you, and even the toughest, strongest, most zen balanced person in love and life can get lost in that. A love is the most powerful energy on, this planet. And I think that we're all searching for it. And sometimes we find love in all the wrong places. And so I can only use myself as an example, an excuse. Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. When I love, I love with everything that I have. I'm a, one person, and I think that especially in trying to become, the best version of myself, I went through a period of time where as I was trying to figure everything out, I was, you know, trying different things, you know, instead of yelling, talking, instead of, you know, leaving, staying, I genuinely tried to grow as much as I could in a situation that I sort of felt like I wasn't, not felt like I wasn't getting that same, you know, energy back. So while I'm giving 100%, I'm not only aware of it, which, you know, at the time it's on a subconscious level at the back of your head. You don't consciously think about it, but you know, and it's there, you know, that's why you try harder, and, you know, maybe they're not noticing. And so, you know, I gave and I gave and I gave, and I was getting little to nothing in return, so much so that it just, that became, you know, a cycle. And even when the person, you know, walked away from the situation, because I had so much feeling for them, that I think we all just want to feel like we're enough, not just in ourselves, but for somebody else. And to see that you could be that for somebody, I think that you're willing to sort of bend your, you know, bend your morals, bend your beliefs, which is never, you know, it's never a good idea to do. That's getting to know yourself, because if you know yourself, then you trust yourself. And if you trust yourself, then the second those red flags start waving, you would love yourself enough to question, back off. I wasn't there. So even after, and still not, like, I'm on a journey 1000% every single day, and learning, you know, that I am worth more than just somebody coming and hooking up and telling me that they love me, but then, you know, not coming again for another 2 months, you know, like it's just, you want to believe the best in people, and you want to give the best. And at least I did. And when you find yourself in these cycles of, you know, it can be really hard to sort of be humble, sit down and go, okay, like, something isn't working. And obviously, if it's not working for you, then you're the person that has to change it. Because if the other person's fine with it and it's not affecting them, then it would be sort of wrong for you to blame somebody that that you're allowing to do those things. So, like, to call somebody an asshole, but then to, I don't know, laugh when he makes derogatory jokes to you, or she does. Do you know what I mean? Like, but then don't laugh. Say, that actually hurts my feelings. You know what I mean? But we don't, because we get like, oh, I don't want him to not like me. You know, and so, I mean, geez, it happens. It does. It happens to the best of us. And so I guess to sum it all up, I've just got to say, I really think that self-reflection right now, and just being humble within yourself, and knowing that, you know what, sometimes you're the toxic person in a situation, and sometimes that toxicity isn't that you're a abusive, blah, 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 bitch, blah, blah. It's just sometimes that you are not loving yourself enough, that the boundaries that you have up have fallen down, that you're not being honest with people. Because being honest would be saying, you know, I'm not okay with what's happening right now, and whatever situation that might be. When it comes to gossip and things like that, I mean, for me personally, I'm of the mindset, if you say it behind someone's back, then make sure you can say it to their face. I am just of the belief that if I hear something about myself, I'm absolutely going to confront it. And I don't think everybody's quite like that, but I mean, if you don't stand up for yourself, who's going to? Like, if I'm not worth it to me, then why would I be worth it to you? And what right do you have to say something to somebody else and not voice that out loud? Like, if you've got the, you know, cojones to say it in the first place, then make sure that you can stand behind it. And if you have people like that around you, just remember that if they're doing it with you, then there is always the possibility, I guess it's not really fair to say that they're doing it against you too, although in my personal, you know, journey, that's kind of been the case. Like if somebody's coming to me and they're like, this is what's going on there, I have a pretty good idea that they're doing the same thing, or at least I'm kind of going to think that because they're laughing and kikiing with, you know, the same person that they're talking shit about over here. So, you know, I think the message, like I said in a previous video, is just 2020 is a time for authenticity. So self-reflect, you know, make sure that you are at least aware of what's happening in your life, and that awareness is going to be the first step to, you know, making some changes. Not everyone's going to like what you do in life, but the more you do it with an authentic honesty to yourself, the better off not only you, but everyone else around you will be. Because let's face it, I would rather, you know, I would rather fix the dam and fix the hole before the floodgates, you know, open, as opposed to waiting, seeing if it'll hold, waiting, someone's going to find out. This is like when things blow up at the, you know, in that worst case scenario, it's just a shit show, and it affects so many people. Sometimes a decision has a ripple effect, and it's going to affect people, and you know that going into it, you know, going into a conversation, you know, going into a situation that, you know, you might as well have a bomb on. Like this is something that is going to take a lot of bravery to do, but once you get through those moments, it makes you so much stronger than you were or could be from anything other than that, in the sense of that it takes, you know, it takes guts to go and say, I was wrong. It takes guts to go and say, you know, I hurt you. It takes guts to say, actually, I'm not going to do this. You know, I see everything from parents standing in front of a kid to, you know, a worker standing in front of a boss and just really saying, you know, I'm sorry, this is it. So anyways, guys, I hope that any of that made sense. Thank you for watching, and I hope that everybody, I don't know, I just really hope that, I wish everybody moments during the day to really have those aha moments, and really take the time to think of not only yourself, but where you come from, and then what you'd like for your children. And, you know, when you're self-reflecting and looking for those cycles, think outside of just your life. Think of your parents' lives, because those are two families, right? Two generations coming together. Then you have yourself, and then are any of those cycles already starting to repeat for the younger generation? If you have, that's, I think, a good place to start. So thanks for coming to my channel, and I hope you guys have a really great day. Namaste.